Alright, figure I'll make me a Dragonslayer video before we roll out to the road. We're going, I guess it could count as DM research. We'll be in a bog tomorrow, and bogs, barrel maze and bogs and stuff like that. I've been in swamps, bayou, places like that off and on in my life, but I haven't really been anything classified as a bog. We'll find out. If it's familiar, it's familiar. If it's not, it's not. And I just want to get the feel for it. Granted, it's in the mountains, which makes it kind of odd. I always thought bogs were low-lying, and this is definitely in the mountains. So, the combat round is only 4 steps, and I'm really used to phasing everything out, using a declaration phase, having a missile phase, having, everything regimented like that. And in the past couple years, I've really been really loose with movement. I have everybody declare, and then I just consider movement simultaneous because I conceptualize the entire round being simultaneous. Just you resolve things in an order. Because that's the mechanics of the game, right? It's the mechanics, how you resolve stuff. But actually, you're not just making one swing and doing X damage. You are doing a flurry of parries and slashes. And I've always been a fan of the 1 minute round, where there's so much stuff going on. And now we're playing Dragonslayer, and it's kind of back to the 6-second combat round, and it's a little looser, which my characters like, which unfortunately for me means people get a little bit more reactionary, when reactionary means people just kind of hem and haw. Not a fan. When I hear the word hold my action, I really literally want to reach across the table and punch someone in the face. Are you even here? Are you even here? When really they should be saying, like, I stand my ground and I attack any opponent that steps up to challenge me. That sounds hella better and a little bit more invested and immersed than I hold my action so I can hem-haw around for another 5 minutes when you describe what happens around me. It irritates me. These are pet peeves. These are pet peeves. Alright, but with Dragonslayer, it's got a 4-step round, combat round. The only thing you need to declare is you declare spells, because you can be disrupted. That is always the thing people want to forget about, is you declare your spells, and spells can be disrupted. And then you roll initiative, and you declare spells for them dice at the table. If the dice hit the table and someone goes, well, I want to cast a spell now. No, you're done. You thought about it. You paused. You froze. People freeze in combat. It happens. This is outside of surprise. We don't even worry about surprise right now. But the declaration, spellcasters or monsters declare that they're going to be casting spells. And I do that too. Like, I've done that with BX and all these other iterations of the game we play. And you hear the opponents are starting to chant a spell. They're drawing in the mystical energy. So I've always given players a cue that the opponents are casting spells. Unless, of course, they can't see them or hear them, then they don't know. They don't know what they don't know, right? It's a simple D6 initiative. D6 initiative. Winning side goes first. And the difference is mainly in order of action, right? And they either go by marching order or order of action. I prefer just saying order of action, right? And it goes from closest back, right? So if you're in a line going into the dungeon or into a room, guys in front act first. And I've been doing that for a while for BX. I've been asking for action declaration during the declaration phase, starting by just looking at my marching order where people are, because the people closest would be the ones that act first, right? And it would just seem like a logical thing to me. And it helps speed up my rounds for the declaration phase. Because you have people who will wait till other people declare all their actions and then reactionarily make their action based on other people's actions in the party. To pick up slack, to maximize effect, or just simply trying to be efficient, but sometimes just being opportunistic. Right? That's what it is. And it says ordinarily characters are in a 2-column order. And you know what? I've only started doing that recently. I keep a single file line, a marching order, and then I use a two abreast marching order. And then I've always noted how far between each rank, because we have people who use reach weapons and people who just, I'm 15 feet behind. I'm at the edge of the torchlight, which means you're farther back, which means your party can get stretched out. I think the last session I did the math, and my dwarf party was stretched over 45 feet down a hallway. So the total length of the party was 45 feet. So not everyone could see around the corners when stuff happened. And I kind of like that. But in Dragonslayer, you go down one person at a time by marching order or order of action. Order of action is like you get hit from the side, right? You get attacked from the side of the rear. Then your order of action doesn't start in front of the marching order. It starts closest to where the action starts, right? Which, curiously, just makes sense. I mean, if you get attacked from the front and back at the same time, I would ask back and forth, front and rear, their actions, and then work your way to the center. But you resolve them before you go to the next person. Move, attack. Okay, what are you doing? Move, attack. So that tilts everything in the party's favor. You don't have, this happened in my BX game a lot, if 3 people declare they're attacking the same guy and the first guy drops him, you all still attack that guy. That's all in the same round. You didn't go down? You didn't go down. He did go down and you were attacking the same round. Well, I'll switch my attack to a different target. No. You both tag teamed that guy and you both killed him. Everyone involved who is entitled to a cleave gets the cleave. Right? That's how I did it with OSE. And that's how I did it with a Labyrinth Lord. And I was kind of 50-50 on BX. I mean, I was a little bit more looser back then than AD&D too. But this one, you resolve each person so they can actually change. The guy declaring his spell could switch his target. At the beginning of the round, he's intending to cast lightning bolt at X, and in the meantime, he gets gunned down by arrows because he got the bow standing in front of him, closer to target. So he fires the arrow. He can switch it up and go, I lightning bolt this guy instead, because you don't really have to declare your targets. You declare your actions as it comes to each player. That is player-centric. That's going towards the player's benefit. Right? And that's subtle. That's a subtle difference that I think people miss. It's very subtle. It changes how your combat round works. Completely. So you could move, use an item, move, shoot a bow, move, attack, or attack, and then move. Which is going to give me some problems with some of my players who tend to be more combat board oriented. I think these kind of situations can create adversarial situations where I'm just like wanting to win their game, get it done. Can't make two attack options in the same round, but you can definitely, which is an option for Wretched. Wretched lets you do that. In this action combat, you can only attack once a round, I believe, unless you have multiple attacks. Which I saw nowhere in here that says you get multiple attacks. So as far as I can tell, it's a 2-action economy, one attack around, which is very old school in vibe, with this subtle difference is pretty good. Now it does give the example that if the front rank is short and the second rank are medium and possess missile weapons, they can attack over shorter members. If those in the second attack have spears or polearms, they can attack with reach from the second rank regardless of the size of the front rank. The only difference that I see with that is you can't fire a missile weapon if you're within 5 feet of an enemy. But if you're in the second rank, you can fire with a missile weapon over your shorter opponents, but only if they're short. So if you have team short, 2 dwarfs up front, you can use bow weapons over top of those guys. That's a minor thing in there that I probably would have allowed in a regular game if someone made that argument anyway. I have always been a very big fan of pole arms and ranked fighting. I mean, that was the strength of all the ancient world, right? So, not far off how I would have ruled it all out of a thing anyway. So, and it puts down the whole thing about if it disengages or turns their back, all adjacent opponents will receive a free attack. It says indirect melee shifts, disengages, or turns their backs. Shifts. That means if they change targets, basically. So it bakes in an attack of opportunity system. It works both ways. I attack, I fall back. That means any teacher with a spear in that second rank gets a free attack above and beyond their regular attacks. This will not be very unusual for people who've played certain war games or 3E at all, or certain rules that were introduced during the TE2 second edition phase. And I think I do see some of the. Remember seeing this in Dragon Magazine once or twice over the years for AD&D. So it's not unusual to the old school feel. It does feel more tightly into the 3E mindset, in my opinion, for attacks of opportunity. But the shift part makes me worrisome. But that works both ways. So once you're engaged, disengaging, basically, no matter what, there's no fighting withdrawal. It basically says there's no fighting withdrawal. You disengage from combat, you're getting an attack on you. And I have a lot of players in my OSE game who try to do that. And I allow it. If you move half movement and you are not using your full movement to get out of combat, then I will allow you to not get that big +2 swing on your rear. Right? Yeah. So the combat round is that simple. It's 4 steps. It's a little looser for declaration phase, making it more player-centric. Subtle difference for Dragonslayer, as opposed to the phased blah blah blah. And in some systems and others, how you strictly read it, you resolve by phase. So if you have initiative, move phase, you all move, then the creatures move. You attack with missile weapons, then the creatures fire missile weapons. Blah blah blah. It's phase resolution by phase. I did that with Labyrinth Lord. It prolonged combat rounds, in my opinion. It seemed to drag things out a little longer. Not a huge fan. But those are options. I kind of am okay with this. It is a blending of style. And the 2 action economy is basically move and attack, attack and move, cast and move and cast, or double move, run. I do not like allowing casters to cast a spell and move. Ever. And that is a later edition thing. 2E back, you don't move when you cast spells. It is a minor thing in here, and I know my players are going to love it too much. It also means your opponents could cast a spell and step around the corner. Works both ways. Works both ways, guys. So that is the part of an action economy I don't like, is movement for spellcasters. That does might be the olive leaf for everybody complaining that all restrictions. So a fighter magic user can use staff and sling. That's it. Your dagger. Woohoo! That means a cleric magic user, which I think is restricted to like half elf or elf, could only use a staff or sling, period. that's it. That's all they could ever use for weapons. The blunt weapons of wizards. It's rough. It's a new learning curve. Like I've been saying to some people who ask me why are you playing this when there's other ones that are out. I'm like, it's subtle. It's subtle differences, and we've been wanting to do it, so we're doing it. All right, I'm going to finish packing, and then we're going to head up to the mountains. Going back up to Monongahela today, and we're going to go to some caverns and to some state parks. We're going to walk. We're going to get back to nature. Going to touch grass, y'all. Y'all take care.